What is up, everybody? It is JT Sports. I am back to you guys with another training camp preview. If you guys haven't seen this training camp previews that we've already done, make sure that you guys go ahead, click that playlist up above to go ahead, check them out. And I have my guy Jose on to talk about training camp for the Baltimore Ravens. What's going on, Jose?
How's everybody doing today? Good to be here, man, with my guy JT. And of course, always talking Ravens. That's what I do. Maybe some of you guys may know me as Joe Nubo, but I also go by my real name now, which is Jose Verduzco. That is my real name. But yeah, obviously, huge Ravens fan, California Ravens fan, as some people know me. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited for training camp. It's almost here. And obviously, I can't wait for the season. I've been trying to actually get into basketball a little bit. Been watching the playoffs here. It's been pretty entertaining. Can't lie. So I just need something, man, for sports. I need sports. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. But good to be here.
Yeah, man. I've been playing the NCAA 14 to get me by because Madden sucks, so can't play that. Bummer.
Yeah.
But
True that.
The NFL Hall of Fame game is right around the corner for Pittsburgh. I think we play the Dallas Cowboys August 5th. So I'm counting down the days to that. Really excited. For me, football isn't back in September. Football is back when we get some preseason. That, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you look at the Baltimore Ravens going into training camp, let's talk about the offense. Now, not really the offensive personnel, but how is this offense going to change from a play calling standpoint? Because we saw during the first half of the year, there were a lot of Ravens fans who were very vocal about offensive coordinator Greg Roman's play calling. Lamar Jackson went on, I believe it was the Rich Eisen show. I forgot what show it was. I think it was the Rich Eisen show. And he basically said that the offense was predictable. And then that, again, sparked a lot of controversy there. I don't think Lamar Jackson made it out to, seem like he was calling out Greg Roman, but some people kind of perceived it that way. So the offense did improve, but you Ravens fans want more evolution, in particular when it comes to the passing game. So what have you been hearing about the Ravens in terms of how Greg Roman has tried to evolve this offense so far during OTAs and mini camps?
Yeah, so everything you've seen, obviously everything you said is correct. We want this offense to evolve. We've pretty much seen what there is to see from this Greg Roman offense, we believe. Yeah. Now, when it's, firing on all cylinders, when the running game is getting going, we love it. We love to see it. But, when you start seeing these, I think the best word to use is elementary type of routes being ran by the wide receivers, it sickens us because we know what Lamar Jackson is capable of, and I know we're probably going to get into, the Lamar Jackson topic a little bit later. But the thing with Greg Roman, we've seen this before from Greg Roman, right? Everybody points to his time in San Francisco, that when it first started out with Colin Kaepernick, oh my God, it was amazing. Great. It was phenomenal, right? But then it got stale, right? It got old because Greg Roman just refuses to evolve. So we're kind of seeing the same thing, but it's interesting because Greg Roman is in a situation where I think he's definitely fighting for his job. Now, this is something that I didn't necessarily agree with the Ravens. I thought if you're just going to push Greg Roman during the season, why not just get rid of him before the season starts? Start fresh. Let's see some new evolution. Obviously, the Ravens don't want to do that, and I understand it's tough because you're coming off of, I think we had the best rushing attack 2 years in a row, right? So, and I believe it's most points scored as well. So, coming off of that, you don't want to fire your offensive coordinator technically, but I just didn't agree with it. But yeah, man, I mean, now that we have actually, I would say decent wide receiving room, which is saying a lot compared to what we've had in the past. We would definitely like to see these wide receivers being used. And I just don't know if Greg Roman is the guy to do that. But that is why we did bring in guys like T. Martin and Keith Williams, who are passing game coordinator. And honestly, I think one of them might be pushing Greg Roman for his job if things just don't look right. So that's where we're at with Greg Roman.
Yeah, as a Steelers fan, Keep the offense the way it is, Greg Roman. You don't need to change nothing, man. It's good how it is. Let it struggle. But one thing that you do have to
I don't know
give,
what it is about the Steelers, man. The Steelers always give Lamar trouble. He always throws his picks. That's always where he gets his picks out, against the Steelers.
He always folds, man. And a lot of Ravens fans forget this. Like, I made videos like when I first, like 3 years ago, saying that Lamar Jackson was going to be this great quarterback. He was going to change the game. He was going to be an elite quarterback. And that's one of the things that I'm most proud of. Despite being a Steelers fan, I always take pride in that, because I wanted Lamar Jackson. You know, now he went to the rival, worst nightmare ever.
Yeah.
But you definitely look at the offense. The pass game needs to improve. But also, I tell Ravens fans this. You got to remember that we had COVID. We only had like 1 month of training camp. So I think Greg Roman may have had some ideas of trying to evolve the offense, but he didn't really have the whole offseason to implement that. And on top of that, Greg Roman is really good when it comes to his run blocking schemes against Pittsburgh. Like, at the time, we had the best run defense in the NFL. Then Baltimore goes in there, and here we are getting gashed. You got TJ Watt and Bud Dupree arguing on the sideline. Bud Dupree isn't keeping contained. So, like, he has some really good run blocking schemes. So if Baltimore can definitely have some semblance of a passing game this year, oh my goodness. And when we're on the pass game, we got to talk about these young wide receivers that you guys have. So everybody talks about Rashad Bateman, who everybody and their grandma had going to Baltimore. It's just the perfect fit. Then you had Tylan Wallace. Now, I was really surprised Baltimore was able to get Tylan Wallace in the 4th round. I thought he was a 2nd round selection, but you also have some guys like Miles Boykin. You got Hollywood Brown. So, like, what are the wide receivers that you think have to step up the most during training camp, who are on the bubble of the roster heading in?
Yeah, I'll tell you who's really in jeopardy of losing his spot on the roster, which, I mean, maybe it's not that big of a surprise for most people, but Miles Boykin, he has been put on notice for sure. Now, you know, Miles Boykin was a 3rd round pick. You know, expectations, I think, we placed a little bit too high of expectations on Miles Boykin, because the guy has the size, the guy has the speed. You would think that would translate, but it just hasn't. You know, like, he's made some good catches, and there has been times that he's been open and Lamar just doesn't see him, or he just doesn't trust him to throw it up to him. So in a way, maybe he hasn't gotten as many opportunities as he probably should. A lot of people will make that argument. But you have guys, like you said, Rashad Bateman, he's making the roster for sure. Tylan Wallace, I would say he's going to make the roster. There's also other guys that we drafted last year, Devin Duvernay and James Prochet. We haven't really seen much out of them just yet. We're also hoping to see more out of them. So if those guys step up, oh man, I think Miles Boykin, if we don't see a huge leap in training camp, and you know, we haven't really heard much from him, to be honest, even with the practices. So it's concerning for him. I definitely think that Miles Boykin needs to step up if he wants to keep his job, because it's definitely a risk for Miles Boykin.
Now you look at the tight end position. Mark Andrews missed a lot of time, majority of last year. You guys had to bring guys off the street to play tight end. So how is the tight end depth looking? Like, we know what Mark Andrews is. We know he's one of the best tight ends in the game when healthy. So what is the depth behind him looking like? Like, if there was to be another game or another season where Mark Andrews struggled to stay on the field, who would be the guy stepping in?
So, yeah, the tight end room it's an interesting thing to look at, because you have Mark Andrews, like you said, does have some injury concerns, and also occasionally has the dropsies in some games, which can hurt us. But when he doesn't have those two things holding him back, he is one of the best tight ends in football, in my opinion. And then you have, backing him up, Nick Boyle, who is a little bit of an unsung hero for the Ravens, because he's definitely not our receiving threat. He does catch the ball, you know, on some occasions, but he is more so a blocker, and he is a valuable asset to this offense. So underrated, Nick Boyle is. And again, because he doesn't have all the fireworks, all the crazy grabs and stuff, but he's in the dirty work and does all the dirty stuff. Behind them, you have some guys that we have that are undrafted from last year. I believe the name always escapes me, but it's like Eric Tomlinson or something like that. one of those guys. Maybe I'm wrong. It's but one of those undrafted guys. And we also traded for, and this was kind of a joke at the time, but we traded for Josh Oliver from the Jags, who's only had, I think, like career receptions. But he was drafted kind of high, a few years ago. So we'll see if he turns out to be healthy and do anything. Yeah, I mean, he was good in college, right? So we'll see. We'll see what he turns out to be. We also drafted a fullback, but I guess he was listed as a tight end, Ben Mason. I don't even know what he's going to be there for, to be honest. It was kind of like a questionable draft pick at the time. We're like, why are you drafting this guy? But, I mean, he looked pretty good on tape in Michigan. So if he can play tight end, there you go. But right now, what we're looking at, Mark Andrews and Nick Boyle are your guys. And it's just kind of a battle between the rest of the gander there.
We got to talk about the offensive line. So you signed former Steelers Veneva. I'm going to be real with you, man. Dude is going to get beat down in pass protection. But when it comes to run blocking, he's pretty solid. As long as you guys don't need him to, protect Lamar Jackson, you're good. He is a really good run blocker. But last year, people were really laying it to him. Like, there was one time when the Steelers were playing Cleveland and Myles Garrett, when I tell you he was terrorizing this man, he was terrorizing this man. But how is the rest of the offensive line looking? Because, that's kind of like a little bit of a question. Like, your offensive line isn't as big as a question as Pittsburgh is right now. Pittsburgh basically is going into this year throwing in the Hail Mary. So,
oh, yeah. And I love to see it, by the way. I love to see the Steelers.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
I am not going to be mad about that. But yeah, Ravens side, man. Yeah, there are definitely some question marks on this line. I think, if Ronnie Stanley comes back healthy, you're not worried about the left tackle position. Left guard, that's kind of a battle as well. You did draft Ben Cleveland in the 3rd round. Some might say maybe he starts day one. I'm not sure. You also we have like 3 guards named Ben on the roster. You have Ben Cleveland, Ben Powers, and Ben Bredesen. So the left guard position is going to be a battle between those 3 Bens, and we'll just see who comes out on top. But you're going to see a Ben, I think, take that left guard starting spot. Center apparently is going to be Bradley Bozeman. Now, for those that don't know, Bradley Bozeman, we drafted him in the 6th round a few years ago. He did play center at Alabama, so he is moving back to his original position, and he does say he feels more comfortable there. So we'll have to see how that goes. But backing him up, we also have guys like Patrick McCarry and Tristan Colon Castillo. We'll see what they do. Right guard is going to be Kevin Zeitler, as we understand it. Hopefully, veteran. He's coming off a little bit of a down year, but we're thinking that he should be able to step up in this running scheme. And same thing could be said for your guy, Andy Villanueva. Yes, he's coming off a little bit of a down year, but
a little bit,
and also, a big down year, right? And he's also making the transition, right, from the left side to the right side. So that's something to look out for. Will he be able to do it? I would like to think so. Obviously, I want to be optimistic here. But the reason I'm not as concerned, yes, I know if he goes up against the Myles Garrett, he's going to get dominated. I'm expecting that.
Now he gets to go against TJ Watt.
Him out. Or TJ Watt, right? Yeah, that's true. But hey, you never know. Maybe he'll have some success against old TJ. He's familiar with him. But yeah, I mean, we're going to have, like I said, Nick Boyle. Don't sleep on Nick Boyle as a blocker, man. He's going to be helping out Andy Villanueva, I would like to think. So, yeah, I mean, the line, I think it's solid. And if some of these questionable things end up working out, then I think that you could see the running game is still going to be dominant, in my opinion, no matter what. But I think if we actually have that solid offensive line like we did have in 2019 in our 14-2 season, I mean, the offense starts with the offensive line. You guys already know that. So, but yeah, the offensive line is definitely one of the battles that I'm looking most forward to for sure.
Now, running back, you guys released the big trust guru, Mark Ingram. that was a hard stabber for a lot of Ravens. It was a hard stabber for me, and I'm not even a Ravens fan, but I really loved what Mark Ingram in his short time in Baltimore really brought to that locker room. Like, he was really a guy who brought a big, impactful energy. Like, I really felt like Baltimore could have kept him around, man. Like, I think that he really loved being around Lamar. So now, of course, with Lamar Jackson, you're always going to have a great rushing attack because, like, it's just no way you stop that guy. But you look at J.K. Dobbins, man, like him and Jonathan Taylor for rookie running backs, they really shredded teams in the late half of the season. Like I tell everybody, the real NFL season starts after Thanksgiving in the month of November, heading into December is where things get real, man. In Baltimore, they were really abusing the ground game. So how's the running back position looking? Because you got Gus Edwards, who had to come in a couple of games due to COVID-19 problems, and he was really good as well. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize how good Gus Edwards actually is. So, I mean, like, you got J.K., you got Gus Edwards. How else is the running back room looking and going into training camp?
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, the Mark Ingram thing, I definitely see where you're coming from. I love the guy. We're never going to forget what he did in 2019. He created big trust. Like, the whole big trust movement was because of Mark Ingram. So I'm going to love that dude forever. He's forever a Raven in my opinion. But, you know, he knew what time it was. He getting older, and the other guys, the younger guys, were stepping up. Speaking of those younger guys, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, like you mentioned, expecting big seasons out of both of them. I would like to say I think that J.K. Dobbins could, you know, step up. And I mean, he had a great rookie season, as you said, and as we saw. But I would like to see him take that next step and truly turn into like a workhorse 3-down back. And even if you have Gus Edwards, he's always going to fight for extra yardage. And you hardly see him get tackled behind the line of scrimmage. The dude is just a beast. So, I mean, it helps, obviously, like you said, when you have a Lamar Jackson. But I do think that these running backs are going to have a special type of year. You're starting to see a lot more of J.K. Dobbins in the receiving game. So if we can actually see some of that implemented into the offense, oh boy, I am excited for that. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Not only the young running backs, but also them being more implemented in the passing game.
Before we move on to the defense, can you let the people watching know where to find you at and what you have coming up on the channel over the next couple of months?
Absolutely. So, as I said, I go by Jose Verduzco, which is my real name. If you don't know how to spell it, Verduzco. That is zebra, cat, octopus, Verduzco. I think also if you look up just my old name that I used to go by, Joe Nubo, you should be able to find my stuff. And coming up, man, I have some ideas. I don't want to really share it necessarily because it's still in the learning process. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm trying to do. But I mean, obviously Ravens is going to be one of my main content on the channel. But also I do other stuff, and maybe I'll start talking some basketball. Maybe I'll start talking baseball. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see how
baseball.
It goes.
Oh, you watch baseball?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how you do it, bro.
Yeah.
I don't think nobody does anymore.
Try, you know? Yeah, no, yeah, I've tried, man, but it's tough. It's tough to get into, but you know, I got into basketball, so maybe I'll get into baseball. You never know. But I
remember one time I was watching the World Series,
obviously, and Ravens.
I remember one time I was watching the World Series a couple years ago. I went to sleep like the top of the first inning, woke up. It was 1:00 a.m. It was the top of the fifth.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's crazy.
Very long. But one thing that's not very funny is how this Ravens defense looks. Now, you did lose Yannick Ngakoue in free agency, so you do have question marks when it comes to your pass rush. Now, I'm really high on Jalen Ferguson. He was a guy coming out of Louisiana Tech. I forgot what round he was drafted in, but I feel like last year he could have been in for a breakout season, but obviously things didn't quite work out that way with acquiring Yankee Ngakwe. Still have Calais there. So like, who are the guys who's going to be looking to step in that role that Yankee Ngakwe had and give that kind of production that he had this season?
Yeah, so we did lose Yannick Ngakoue, and we also lost Matt Judon, right, to the Patriots. So that's, your two starting pass rushers are gone. So that leaves you with a huge question mark. Our pass rush already was kind of questionable. There would be games like if you go up against a bad offensive line, they're going to show up. They're going to get like 5 sacks. They're going to rack up some sacks just because the secondary is so damn good. Nobody can throw on the secondary, and they ended up holding the ball. Especially when you go up against these young, inexperienced quarterbacks, you'll rack up a lot of sacks. But when you go up against guys like, a Patrick Mahomes or some of these other veteran quarterbacks that they've seen the type of blitzes we run, then they're going to have some success. But the pass rush, I'm not too concerned about it as a lot of Ravens fans are, because we did draft Jason Owe, a.k.a. Odafe Owe, in the first round. I'm not expecting much out of him in his rookie campaign, to be honest. Really, for me, any contribution will be great from Owe if we see anything. I think we really drafted him just because he has that speed, and you have the secondary that can cover, so you're hoping they can cover for a good 3 seconds, and then Owe can possibly get to the quarterback there. And then you have guys, like you said, Jalen Ferguson calls himself Sack Daddy. I call him the Pressure Daddy because
I ain't see it last year.
That Sack Daddy name. Yeah, exactly. He has not earned that nickname just yet from me. But yeah, he does.
You probably talking about something else.
True. That's what it is. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see if this is his breakout year. A lot of Ravens fans seem to think so. So I hope so. I do hope that we get to see that from him. Who else do we got? We're bringing back Pernell McPhee, veteran dude. He contributes here and there. Don't expect a lot of production from him. Yeah.
He's like 50, ain't he?
Yeah, he's pretty old. He's pretty up there. But hey, man, he don't sleep on Pernell McPhee. That's all I'm gonna say. No, but yeah, man. Honestly, that's pretty much it. We also have like a guy that we drafted in the 6th or the 4th, I believe, the 5th.
Malik Harrison.
No. That was last year. Yeah, Malik Harrison. Yeah.
He's
a middle linebacker. Yeah.
And speaking of middle linebacker, okay, so you look at linebacker and you look at Patrick Queen. Good rookie season, but I don't think it was as great as people are making it out to be, because like when Baltimore is faced against very good pass-heavy teams like Kansas City, they had him literally running around in circles. Literally.
Oh, yeah, it was bad.
So, like, am I tripping, or do you feel that same way I feel to do about Patrick Queen? And do you think he's going to develop into that all-around linebacker that the Ravens envisioned him becoming when he was drafted in the first round at LSU?
So, yeah, Patrick Queen is an interesting topic because he had, like you said, he had a really good rookie season. He put up some really good numbers, but there were also some games and there were some snaps that the guy would just be lost, right? And especially when you go up against a team like the Kansas City Chiefs and all they do on offense to confuse those linebackers, they were getting attacked. I mean, all the young linebackers that we had were just getting demolished by Patrick Mahomes and those guys. And, you can't see that, right? You don't want to see that. Patrick Queen, I think that I would like to think he will get better, especially when it comes to coverage. He himself said, I think he said something on Twitter, and again, it's social media. You got to take it with a grain of salt. But he said that, I'm going to get better in coverage. That's what I've been working on all offseason. He mentioned something about that. So I would love to see it, but we do love what he's capable of doing. He causes turnovers. He gets to the quarterback. He runs to the ball so quickly. He's so fast. So if he can put all of that together and really become that next step linebacker that we want, he could have a good season, especially with the type of secondary that you have backing you up. There's no reason that you shouldn't be able to step up in your second year.
When you look at corner, you have Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters, you can make the argument that not even an argument. Marlon Humphrey is a top 10 corner. Marcus Peters, it depends on which Marcus Peters you're getting. But from those two guys, what is the cornerback depth like? Do you still have that old man Jimmy Smith still playing?
Sure do.
Oh, wow.
That's my guy.
You guys let Mark Ingram walk, but you can't let Jimmy Smith walk.
We got to keep our vets, man. We keep our Super Bowl champs around here. We keep Jimmy Smith and McPhee around. You know what I mean?
Them boys is old. This is what it is. It's like when you go in your basement, you got all this old stuff that you don't want to throw away, but you just like it because you just like how it makes it feel. So like Jimmy Smith was pretty good. I'm not saying this to be disrespectful, just cracking a joke. He was pretty solid. So like, what do you think his role is going to be, and what are the guys behind Humphrey and Peters who are going to be the big names coming out of there in training camp?
Yeah, so the corner position is definitely another one that I'm looking out for, because obviously we know Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters are the guys. You also have Tavon Young coming back, and if you guys don't know who Tavon Young is, he's usually our starting slot corner, nickel corner, and the dude is good. But the problem is he's never healthy. He tore his ACL last year, and I think that's 2 years in a row he tears his ACL, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it was the same ACL. I think it might have been flip-flopped. But the dude has gotten injured like for 3 out of his 3 years that he's been in the league. It's a problem, right? If he can stay healthy, I mean, it's going to be solid, no problem. You also have guys that we drafted like Brandon Stevens, which at the time I didn't understand why we took him in the 3rd round, but we'll see. Maybe he turns out to be something. And you drafted Shaun Wade.
The most viral cornerback in college football for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Although the good thing is that he's not going to be, playing on the outside, right? At least that's the hope. Yeah. So that's where he dominated. Right?
I was telling people this. I wanted the Steelers to get him because, as you know, the Steelers lost Mike Hilton, arguably the best slot corner in the NFL, to Cincinnati. And I was like, Shaun Wade would be a perfect replacement because he's super athletic. He also can play a little bit of safety. And he was the best slot corner in college football before Jeff Okudah, David Arnett left, and he had to play the outside boundary corner. And I played against Shaun Wade in high school, and I kind of already knew what it was. So, yeah, I really like the fit in Baltimore. And when you got fragile glass that is Tavon Young, I definitely think Shaun Wade could be a good replacement. But do you see him having a little bit of time at safety? That's the next position.
Yeah, I think that's been mentioned. And now that you bring up safety, there are guys that, obviously we know we have Deshaun Elliott is going to be the starter right there. But you have guys, like you mentioned earlier, Jimmy Smith. He's kind of been taking some snaps at free safety, so you might see him back there on occasion. You also have, like you said, Shaun Wade has been brought up. And apparently Brandon Stevens as well. Like, I think Eric DeCosta or John Harbaugh, I don't remember which one, but one of them said that they see Brandon Stevens as a safety as well. So we kind of have like all this amalgamation of safeties back there. I don't know who's going to be there, but at least we do know who the starter is right now, and it is the Joker, a.k.a. Deshaun Elliott. And the strong side we know is Chuck Clark as well, who is also severely underrated. But so, yeah, the secondary, obviously, I would say is one of the big strengths of this team, as we know, specifically the cornerback position, the turnovers that Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters bring to the defense. It's super valuable. So the secondary is going to be the strength of this defense. And we just need guys to step up in the front. And the D-line, Calais Campbell needs to have a bounce-back type of year after having a little bit of a COVID situation and an injury. And then Derek Wolfe played really well last year. So, it all starts with the secondary. That's really how our defense runs. And when they're playing well, I mean, the defense as a whole plays well. So, I mean, that's not a hot take or anything, but that's just how we're expecting it in Baltimore.
So I saved the best for last. So I want to get your thoughts on the quarterback situation. So you have Lamar Jackson. You have the GOAT, Trace McSorley. You have Tyler Huntley, who I told people, man, did. And Lamar told them to bring in Tyler Huntley. That dude can move. I never saw Tyler Huntley move like that when he was playing at Utah. Like, do you think all three of these guys are going to make the roster? Or do you think somebody's going to end up getting replaced?
Yeah, it's an interesting situation to be in. Like you said, I do think I'm not sure if we're going to keep three quarterbacks this year. That's the thing. If I had to guess, we have been keeping three quarterbacks on the roster the past few years with Lamar. You had RG3, he's gone now, and you had Trace McSorley behind RG3. So maybe the Ravens continue that trend and they keep both Tyler Huntley and Trace McSorley. We can see that it's good to have a type of, I mean, obviously they're not the level of athlete or player that Lamar Jackson is, but at least when you go to Trace McSorley or Tyler Huntley, you still have that mobility and you still have that ability. So, I'm not sure what they're thinking about, if they're going to keep the three quarterbacks or if they're going to cut one of McSorley or Huntley. But yeah, those are the three guys that definitely who we're expecting to be in the quarterback rooms.
Yeah, Tyler Huntley, man, like he can move. Like I was like, bro, like I was like, bro, I've never seen this man. Like, where did this come from? This man never ran like this when he played for Utah. When he played for Utah, he was more like a check down quarterback. Yeah, he can run, but golly, bro, like this man was moving. And then you got
Let him loose.
Yeah, you got Trace McSorley. So I mean, like, it's a really interesting quarterback competition for that backup spot, and it's definitely going to be interesting. Like, is Trace McSorley healthy?
I think he is. He was just a little banged up last year, so he should be good to go. Yeah.
He was banged up from carrying the whole entire team on his back. GOAT McSorley. So
the GOAT.
Before I let you go, I want to get your 5 players who you're going to be watching overall, both offense and defense. So, say my 5, I probably would be watching Shaun Wade because, he's from my city. Got to keep tabs on him. Jalen Ferguson. I want to see old man Fennell McPhee. I want to see him. Offense, I'm looking at Rashad Bateman. I'm looking at Tylan Wallace.
Yep, that's fair. Yeah, I think you made some good points there. I'll give you 5. Let's see. So on offense, I mean, maybe the obvious one for me is Rashad Bateman. I want to see what the guy has. I do believe that he has the capability to finally give us the number 1 wide receiver that we've been wanting and needing desperately in Baltimore. But we'll see. Again, he's a rookie. I'm not, I don't want to make the, I don't want to put too much pressure on him. So we'll see how that goes. The offensive line is another position that I'm looking out for. Which of the 3 Bens is going to grab that left guard spot? So I'm watching, we'll just roll all 3 Bens into one player. How about that? If you're fine with that. Yeah. There you go. So, okay. So that's 2. Let's see. On offense, that's pretty much it. Honestly, just the wide receiver and offensive line position is really what I'm focusing on. Defense, like you said, there's a lot of things with the cornerback. I also would like to see how Shaun Wade plays, just because I'm curious, because if we can get what we saw from him when he did play in the slot, oh boy, I mean, this cornerback room is going to be crazy. I'll say Shaun Wade. I'll say Tyus Bowser. That's a name that kind of gets slept on a lot. The guy, he just got extended. He got a fairly decent paycheck from the Ravens last year, and we opted to sign him instead of both Judon and Ngakoue. So this is really the time. He had a good season last year. This is the time that he has to be the guy. So we're hoping that he can become that guy. So I'm going to be looking at him and the linebackers, like you said, Patrick Queen. I want to see out of them. Malik Harrison, we got to see a big step up from him because we're expecting both Queen and Harrison to really be the guys behind LJ Fort right now. So, yeah, I think I gave you at least 5, right? So, Yeah, but it's a lot of interesting position battles, man. It really is. That's going on with the Ravens this year.
So before we let you go, man, I appreciate you for coming on as always. Always a pleasure. Like I said, I'm rooting for the Ravens until you guys play Pittsburgh. Hope the offense falls apart. Hopes everything goes wrong. But I appreciate you for coming on. One last time, let the people know where they can find you at and what you have. You already told us what you had coming up, but
yeah,
where to find you at. I'm not going to edit this out. It's too late now.
No, that's cool. It's too late. We're going through with it. Yeah, so like we said, Jose Verduzco is my channel, aka Joe Nubo. You can also find me on Twitter at NF Podcast Live. That is the letter NF and then Podcast Live. So check me out on there. I usually make some pretty spicy takes that sometimes get picked up and people like to talk trash. And also, I hope to be back once the Steelers end up going 6-10, and then we can end up discussing some of this. Or sorry, 6-11, right? Because the extra game. Yeah.
Just like how he had us missing the playoffs last year. We saw what happened.
yeah. And then the Browns did it to you, man.
Oh yeah, they did it in, man. It's all good, man. You guys took away Lamar from us. If we miss the playoffs, then we can get my guy Malik Willis from Liberty. And trust me, you thought you seen Lamar Jackson. This dude is Lamar Jackson on steroids. Imagine Lamar Jackson with 99 throwing power.
Wow.
That's what
I gotta check him out. I haven't seen him play.
I'm gonna send you a link, bro. Like I was telling people this, like Lamar Jackson, man, like is going to usher in a new age of quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson's like putting your best athlete on your high school football team at QB and teaching him how to play the position for real. Like Malik Willis, like dude's legit, man. But I appreciate you for coming on, man, and take care.
Thank you, guys. Pleasure being here.